Hey guys, Dave and Chris here from Rules of Engravement to go over a couple of the AK platforms that we have here at the store available for sale. Now there's some differences and some nuances between different models, different manufacturers, different specifics. We're going to go briefly into a couple of those differences here today in the video. If you want to talk at all in depth, please come to the store and check out all these rifles and handguns that we do have for sale. Just starting off, we can start with a Wasser. Chris, what are some specifics about the Wasser that make it a great purchase?
So the Wasser is actually a very affordable option compared to most AK platforms. They are very well built in the sense that, so initially when they first came to the country from Century imported them in parts kits and they built them, and they weren't very great quality, but now these are brand new manufactured rifles from the Gear factory straight from Romania. So their magazine wells are all cut to proportion, the gas tubes are straight. The barrels are not some of the best, but they're accurate enough for the rifle platform itself, and they're extremely reliable. These are great beater guns that you can abuse the crap out of them. I have my first rifle was a Wasser 10, and it's the one right there on the wall. And I've had that one for 13 years now, and it has not failed me since. I probably have like close to 8,000 rounds through it. It's fantastic rifle, has never ever failed me. And also these are AKM platforms, meaning that there's a lot of third-party parts and accessories for them, so they're highly customizable, and it's an excellent platform. A lot of people overlook them because they look ugly and the finish is just meh, but the furniture is just something not to be desired, but these are easily replaceable and customizable.
So you're saying this rifle is a great purchase, right? You can beat it, train with it, it's going to be reliable, as well as it's very customizable. So it's very akin to, if we were talking about pistols, purchasing a Glock where someone says the aesthetics aren't the best of it, the sights might need changing, different things that are easily augmented. That's great to come in at a purchase price that's very entry level, but still getting a reliable and quality made firearm that's completely customizable. You're not buying a $3,000–4,000 rifle and then having to change half of it. What's one of the benefits for this blonde wood AK that we have over here?
So this is a Zastava Serbian manufactured M70 PAP. This particular model has a RPK receiver. The receivers on the Zastavas are much thicker. They're about, what was it, like 1.2 millimeters thick versus the 1 millimeter AKM pattern receivers. This particular one has the RPK bulged front trunnion, so it's much more rigid. The barrels are slightly thicker and they're more accurate. These new production models, the old ones, didn't come with chrome lining or chrome chambering, but the new production ones are excellent. They do have the chrome chamber, so you can actually shoot some corrosive ammo out of it and not really worry about the corrosive nature of that ammo. Well, you still have to clean it obviously with water and maybe a little bit of soap to get those corrosive salts from the primers out if you do shoot corrosive, but it is chrome lined and chambered, so they're absolutely bulletproof, these particular ones. Now, just like the AKM patterns, these also have a lot of aftermarket parts available. The Magpul makes furniture for these, and there's tons of muzzle devices, and you can also customizable. They also have the rails, their own standard rails on them that you can mount optics. Same thing with the Wasser, absolutely. They also have the same rail type. Other than that.
So how much back and forth can we use as far as parts that we're buying aftermarket, stocks, grips, maybe rails or optic rails, light rails, and accessories? How many would go back and forth between different manufacturers?
It's more really about compatibility with the receivers, because the receivers are different. The AKM receivers and the M70 PAPs are different in the tangs that are in the back, the way they're built, the tolerances and all that stuff. So you have to be careful when you purchase AK pattern furniture that you make sure that it's made for a specific rifle. Like the M70s have their own patterns, and the AKMs. If it's an AKM pattern receiver, you can pretty much put anything that is AKM pattern. If it's an M70, it's only M70 stuff.
So check the receiver, right? The manufacturer original, and that'll lead you to what parts may or may not be available for your specific rifle.
Correct. We'll get to the Arsenal in a minute, but the Arsenal has its own, it's not issues or problems, it's just that the milled receivers is a little, there are parts out there that you can customize with the milled. There's tons of them, but again, it's the same thing. You just have to make sure that when you purchase the parts to customize, that you make sure that it's compatible with your receiver type.
Got it. Okay. Now, all these different AK platform guns that we have on the counter here, we've got 4 of them that have a stock. What's the difference about this guy with no stock? It seems like a shorter barrel.
So this is an M92 PAP made by Zastava as well, Serbian. As you can see, it's very similar to the full-size rifle. It's just in a shorter configuration. It features a 10-inch barrel. This particular one is a pistol. It was registered as a pistol. So they were originally manufactured, the original rifles and military rifles were made for crew members, for vehicle crews, because of their short, compact nature, and they used to have an underfolder. This particular one probably has an underfolder trunnion in the back that's covered up. You can actually cut it up if you do a Form 1 and actually attach the original underfolder on it. But there are other options you can do. You can actually have what I have on my M92 PAP right now. It's also a pistol. It's the same firearm, slightly different receiver obviously, but it's the same gun. The pistol brace on SPA3 pistol brace. There's an adapter for the stock that goes through the pistol grip screw. And I have a Midwest Industries rail that I can attach an optic, because they don't come with an optics rail on the side or on top. Some of them do. Some Zastava pistols do come with the optics rail already drilled and tapped on the cover. But me personally, I don't trust the cover, because it could. I mean, these are pretty solid, but over time they could get loose. So I'd rather have it on a handguard where I know I have a lot of Loctite and thread locker, and
Gotcha.
Those have anti-tilting mechanisms in the rail. This one has the thread protector. The threads are 26 by 1.5 left-hand threads. They do make adapters so you can actually mount suppressors to these. It's pretty badass.
It's not as run-of-the-mill as, oh, I can just run out and grab any muzzle device it's going to fit. These are left-hand.
Correct.
A lot of our
Left-hand
rifles
threads.
here are right-hand.
Mm-hmm. So you do have to get if you do want to put a suppressor on, you're going to have to get either a adapter, a specific adapter for this thread, or have the correct threads for it. These are tack welded in. This is a thread protector that's tack welded in. This particular model already has the detent pin, so if you just cut this weld off, you can actually remove this thread protector and attach the booster, the original booster, or other boosters, third-party manufacturer. You can even put muzzle brakes if you want. JMac makes really awesome muzzle brakes, but you're gonna annoy the crap out of your neighbors when you shoot indoors.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so the M70 that we have here, we briefly covered that when we talked about the AK with the blonde wood. Now, is this the same rifle? Is it just changed up? Is there a different receiver? What's the big difference?
So this M70 from the factory already has the upgrades that I talked about for this particular M70. They're both the same rifle mechanically. They're identical, just the furniture is different. You just have a UTG rail on this one and Magpul furniture on this. You have a different pistol grip and a folding stock for Magpul. That makes it more compact. You can also adjust the length of pull as well. And yeah, it's absolutely identical rifle. This is like an example what you can do for customization with the M70s. The same thing with the Wassers. The Magpul makes the same furniture as it. I.e. an example on my rifle. And yeah, you can customize it to your heart's content as long as you make sure that the parts are compatible with the AK receiver.
Understood.
Purchase.
Okay. So what would you say this gun best used for versus something that's maybe a smaller configuration?
Best use for these, they're both extremely durable, long-lasting, accurate rifles for what they are. Because of the thicker nature of the barrels and the RPK receiver trunnions being more beefed up, they are very accurate for 7.62 rifles. If you want to run for classes and abuse the crap out of them, they're outstanding. They're easy to clean. You just take the top cover off, the bolt carrier assembly and the spring, everything comes out, just drops out, and everything's within finger reach for cleaning. There's no, you don't have to like use expensive rods. You can literally get a bunch of shoelaces and tie them together. You can make a bore snake and it'll, rod the barrel. That's it.
Got it.
Honestly, there's a lot of people don't even clean these. They just rod the barrel and that's it. Like there's no reason
No
to
need.
baby it. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So if you're looking for hard use application, training, and a wide variety of applications, this would be a great place to start. And then always we can change and augment whatever the purchase is and tailor it for the customer's needs.
Exactly.
Okay, so the one we haven't gone over yet is this arsenal on the side. Now I'm seeing a little bit of different cuts here from the other receivers that we've gone over, and you did say the receiver was kind of the heart or the main difference of all between different levels of rifles, different manufacturers and different purposes. What are these different cuts? Is this the same thing with just lightning cuts? What's the story with this guy?
So this particular rifle is made by Arsenal. It is a Bulgarian M70R. It is a 7.62 by 3.9. So the differences between this one and the rest of the AKs that you see on here, the rest of these AKs are stamped sheet metal receivers, meaning that they start off as a flat piece of sheet metal that they bend, and then they put a pin, a structure pin in between to give it that shape.
Okay.
This is a milled receiver, meaning it came out of a solid block of billet steel.
No bending.
No bending, nothing. They just drilled out all the parts. The trunnions are built into the receiver itself.
Okay.
Like, it's part of the receiver. It's part of its structure. And it provides one of the most solid, tight fits. Everything's pressed in. This thing is just absolutely indestructible. The barrel will wear out before the rifle ever will. There's been cases where Russian AKs that are built out of aluminum type 2s, I believe, in Afghanistan, their barrels are completely like smoothbore. They've been shooting them so many rounds, and they just keep working.
Because it keeps working.
Because it keeps working. This is aside from, I'm not a fan of the finish on the rifle, which you can easily fix with a Cerakote.
Yep.
You just may replace the barrel, but that's for a machinist to do, to punch out the barrel pin and replace the barrel. But
because of the manufacturing difference, this would be generally not looked at as an entry rifle. Correct?
Absolutely
because
not.
Of the quality.
You're correct. So it is far more expensive to manufacture milled receivers. This particular rifle is quite expensive for what it is. It's about $1,800 or more.
Okay. But what are you getting though? With that
You're getting something that will probably survive a nuclear attack.
Got it. Got it. If I gotta bury something in the yard,
yeah,
it's gonna be an AK.
It's gonna be an AK. It's gonna be this one actually with a milled receiver. Yeah, very, very sought after.
For parts and aftermarket though, because it's got that very unique manufacturer, does that make it harder to find aftermarket parts, to augment, to change the rifle?
You just have to be more, they're out there, the aftermarket parts are out there. Magpul makes them, a bunch of other manufacturers makes furniture for these. Zeneco, unfortunately, because of the situation going on in Europe right now, it's very hard to get those.
Okay.
They're very rare and expensive.
But they're great quality.
Absolutely great quality.
Got it.
The receiver right now, it's got like 2 tangs instead of 1 with the AKM patterns.
Right.
So that's what you got to watch out for if you want to put a stock on there.
I see.
Yeah, so if you get a stock, just make sure it's for a milled style receiver.
Okay.
And they may require a little bit of fitting, but other than that, it's not. The differences between manufacturers and factories that they come from, their tolerances are slightly different. So you may need to do a little bit of hand fitting, a little bit of, taking away a little bit of material just so you can
through tolerance stacking.
Exactly. Some mags that will not seat on most of them, so you're just gonna have to take a little bit of material, just a little bit at a time, so you can seat the mags. I have to do
depending
that.
on what we do to the rifle, right? If we Cerakote it, if we change the
Correct. The
pieces.
tolerances are gonna change
Yep.
slightly, so you're gonna have to change with the accessories that you put on there. I had to do that with my AK-74 that we have on the wall, for example. It was built on a parts kit, brand new parts kit from Bulgaria, Circle 10, AK-74. It cost me like $2,500.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty bad.
So what you just said, everything we've gone over today was the AK platform.
Correct.
But if I'm correct in looking at this, all of these firearms on the table fire 7.62 by 39. Is that correct?
Yes, they also come in different calibers.
So you mentioned an AK-74. What is that?
So the AK-74 was introduced in 1974, and it fires a 5.45 by 39 round. So it is generally like a 60 grain bullet, very long nose bullet, travels very fast, very flat shooting compared to the 7.62 by 3.9. It's almost ballistically similar to the 5.56 that we have. So it was the East's answer to the 5.56.
Okay.
The AK-74s are also very sought after. I originally wanted an AK-74U, which is the small one, 8-inch Krinkov. But I was not ready to spend $6,000 on a parts kit because they are very rare, and
you're gonna pay for it if you get it.
Exactly. Okay. Well, if you're that hardcore of an enthusiast, I could definitely refer you to some builders that will definitely take care of you.
Well, I remember shooting back in 2012, 2013. I was shooting the 7N6 round that was imported from Russia, the corrosive ammo, and I mean, as long as you cleaned it with something with ammonia after, like you mentioned, soap and water. Right?
Yeah, distilled water with a little bit of like dish soap. That's all it takes.
Yeah, but I was shooting for 19 cents a round rifle ammo.
Right.
Those days are gone.
I mean, the corrosive. When people hear corrosive, it's not as bad as it sounds. It's just the primers are corrosive. It's like the salts and the primers that are corrosive, not the gunpowder itself.
So clean your gear.
So just clean your gear. So we're getting back to the AK-74. I couldn't get the 74U, so I got the actual AK-74 after I deployed. And that particular gun was expensive because the parts that I purchased were already in the bag, sealed in the bag from Circle 10, Bulgaria. I had to get a childless receiver. And so what I was getting at when I got the magazines, these magazines are brand new and like wrapped up from the factory. And from the factory, I had to do some fitting to the rifle because from the factory they come with a little bit more material. Okay. So the armors would go into the armory and shave off enough material and make them fit to the rifle so they can see properly. Got it. Yeah, it's just like a little tidbit. It's always going to be like this with AKs. You're always going to do a little bit of hand fitting here and there if it doesn't fit properly. You can always bring it to me and I'll fix it for you. Got it. So yeah. So this is my pride and joy. I spent almost $3,000 on this bad boy. You can get these for about $2,400 fully built arsenals, already built, good quality guns. But I decided to build one myself from parts that were brand new from the factory, and I spent a little bit more money. Okay. At the end, you got what you wanted. Absolutely. This was my bucket list guns. Got it. So just to recap what we've gone over today in this video, all these different rifles are of the AK platform, the variant. There are different calibers, there are different muzzle devices, different barrel lengths, different attachments you can add to each one. This would be a fantastic purchase. If you wanted to buy it as a pistol, you can purchase it here at Rules of Engravement, bring your ID, your Florida concealed license, and as soon as the background check is done, you leave with the gun the same day. Once you have the firearm, it's great to run it, test it at the range, see how you enjoy it, and then start the ATF Form 1 process to make this into a short-barreled rifle, because we all love stock, right? So just depending on your budget, what's your end goal of what you want that firearm to do for you, the application helps us basically decide which route we should be going into. We started with the Wasser over here on the end, and if you're looking for the starter AK to get in that's going to be reliable, that's not going to break the bank, and is completely customizable with the most options available, this is going to be your guy. Now on the opposite end of the spectrum, that arsenal that we have here is virtually done. You're going to change one or two things that you prefer to use in the setup that you would like. Chris was talking off camera a little earlier about if this was his purchase, he would just change the furniture to a nice colored wood and leave it as is. The rifle's fantastic as it comes. It's just a personal preference. But the receiver, pay attention to the receiver of the AK that you're buying. That will decide how easy or not so easy it is to find certain aftermarket parts, and especially what you should be looking for to purchase any of these items to augment for yourself. Alright guys, as always, thank you for watching. If you haven't yet, go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. The channel is exploding. We're filming a lot more videos for you guys, and please come in and check us out here at Rules of Engravement. Have a good day.